Very good evening, everyone. Am I audible to all delegates? Thank you, Dr. Poonam. So, a very good evening. Welcome you all. Today, I'm delighted to introduce the resource person for today's online session, Dr. R.K. Soni sir, a distinguished former professor of statistics in the Department of Community Medicine, Dayanand Medical College, Ludhiana, Punjab. Sir's contribution to the field of statistics are extensive, with 42 research publications in various national and international journals. His dedication to academic exchange is evident in his attendance at 16 national and 6 international conferences, where he has undoubtedly enriched discussion with his insights and knowledge. In addition to his research endeavors, Sir has pursued further learning through courses such as the WHO course on health system research and the national course on educational science technology for the teachers of health professionals. His commitment to professional development is further highlighted by his participation in various workshops and symposiums conducted by organizations like the Indian Council of Medical Research, ICMR, and the International Society for Prevention of Child Abuse and Neglect. Dr. R.K. Soni sir's involvement as a research faculty in ICMR, WHO, UNICEF workshops, symposium, training programs underscores his role as a leader in his field, sharing his expertise with fellow professionals. His leadership extends to his role as principal investigator of the ICMR multicentric task force study on consumption pattern of carbonated soft drinks of Indian population at different times of the year, demonstrating his commitment to impactful research. As a life member of the Indian Association of Preventive and Social Medicine and the Indian Society of Medical Statistics, Sir is deeply engaged in professional communities, fostering collaboration and knowledge exchange. Furthermore, his service as an independent monitor on behalf of WHO for various national immunization days and subnational immunization days reflect his commitment to public health and community welfare. Today, we had the privilege of learning from Dr. R.K. Soni sir's vast experience and expertise. His insights into statistical methodologies, research practices, and public health initiatives are sure to enrich our understanding and inspire us in our own academic and professional endeavors. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to our respected resource person for today's session, Dr. R.K. Soni sir. We are grateful for his presence and eagerly anticipate his valuable contribution to this program. Please, sir, welcome, sir.
Thank you, Amit. Please start the presentation. Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. R.K. Soni. I worked as professor of statistics and epidemiology for 36 years and 9 months in one of the college, reputed medical college in the North India. And he has given some brief introduction. Probably he must have taken, Amit has taken some data about the biodata he has picked up from some source, which is about 10, 12 years back.
Yes.
And there is nothing, there is more of addition into that. Now the everybody everybody listen to me?
For audible, sir.
Yeah. Then the coming to the topic which is given to me about the program, that is the collection, classification, and type of data. Now see what is a data. First thing is data, data, data. Everything is data. If you start, let us take one simple example. Our mobile. It's the we people are so dependent upon mobile. If something happens to mobile, the first come in our mind is whether our data will be saved or not. Data is nothing but whatever information is stored into that. It may be the number, it may be your some messages or something, video, whatever is there. We are quite concerned about the data. I am talking about mobile, but for the scientific community, for the scientific work, that type of requirement, that type of dedication, commitment is required so that we can give some good research, we can have some better implication, we can have some better conclusions and recommendations for the coming time. Next slide, please. Now, this data definition is there. I have given some clue to you. Data may be defined as a representation of facts or concepts of instruction in a very formalized manner, suitable for communication, interpretation, or processing by manual or electronic means. Now, I have given a very practical example to you. Any type of information which is associated with the real number, that is also known as data. Now, whenever we carry out a study, the study frame the questionnaire, frame the schedule, whatever we have done, and then we start collecting the information. Say if you have to do the 200 patients, so you have to collect the data information about the 200 patients, and each questionnaire has 20 questions, which means you are going to collect so many informations. Then all this information in one or the other way, whatever is recorded, whatever whosoever is recorded, that constitute our data, because that is the real number, that is the information which you have collected. It nowadays with the advancement of technology, earlier it was only the hard copy. Now with the advancement of technology, tabs are there, another type of software there. You keep on collecting data in electronically, and automatically that will come into the software. But still, in many of the instances, the data is collected on a hard paper, hard copy. Next, please. Now, this is the types of data which is usually seen in the scientific literature. One is the qualitative, another is the quantitative. These are the two broad categories. Qualitative and quantitative, it is just a matter of a concern, the information which you are collecting. As the name says, qualitative, which means you are just concentrating upon the quality of the character. As the name says, quantitative, which means you are concentrating upon the quantity. Just like let us take the example of blood pressure. Now a patient come to us, we start recording the blood pressure. Now if the blood pressure comes out to be say 160 by 100, we can tell the patient in both ways. One way is your blood pressure is 160 by 100. Another way is your blood pressure is quite high. Now, if we say the blood pressure is quite high, then it becomes the quality of the information, then it becomes a qualitative variable. But if we give the exact figure, which is a quantity, that is 160 by 100, then it is a quantitative variable. Now, the data, sorry, the quantitative data, because we are concentrating upon only on the actual quantity, whatever comes out to be there. Now, sometimes we have to use both of them. Sometimes we have to use in one of the only one. No, even same way, if we see the obesity, you can, if we are recording the weight, overweight, normal, underweight, these are the categories. But ultimately, how you record the overweight, underweight, or normal, we have to see the actual information. If the weight is say 80 kg, and as per the age and height, if the weight is too much, then you will say it is overweight. But if we say actually 80, then it becomes quantitative. But if you say it is overweight, then it becomes qualitative. Now, it is further, the qualitative is further categorized into nominal and ordinal. I will come to later on. Quantitative again comes as continuous and discrete. Further, it comes into interval and ratio. The forthcoming slide will be there for all these type of classifications. We will come to that also one by one. Please move to the next slide. This is the qualitative versus quantitative, which I have told you. The qualitative is measuring a character which there is no natural numeric scale, just like gender, eye color, socioeconomic status, disease severity, just like I have given you the blood pressure example. And the quantitative, there is a natural numerical scale. We are recording the actual age, we are recording the actual height, we are checking the actual weight, actual blood pressure level, actual HB level, actual sugar level. All these are the natural numerical figures which do come across. That is why it is called quantitative variable data, and that is called the qualitative data. Next, please. Transformation of a quantitative and qualitative. This I have already told you. If we are saying weight, actual figure, then it becomes a quantitative. But if you are saying underweight, normal weight, overweight, and similarly, if you are giving the actual value of the blood sugar, it is a quantitative. But if you are saying the blood pressure, sugar is quite high, and you are labeling the patient as diabetic, then it becomes a qualitative, because now you are concentrating upon the quality of the data without considering the actual value. Of course, this is dependent upon the qualitative. You can't by inspection. Of course, something can be there, but in scientific, in medical literature, all these are based on the quantitative. Just by inspection, you can't say that you are diabetic or you are not non-diabetic, or you are an underweight or you are normal weight. But whatever it is there, in scientific literature, in medical sciences specifically, all this is linked with the quantitative. You first have to measure it. If you are telling the exact value, okay. If you are giving it this way, it is qualitative. Yes, next please. Now I have spoken the value like that way, variables. Now these are the questions which we do ask from maybe the patient or maybe the subjects, maybe from the respondent, or from the question any investigator is asking, where is your residence, whether urban, rural, slum, whatever it is. Then the dehydration of the status. Then what is your weight? What is the pulse rate? All these are the things which are quite oftenly asked by the investigator for conducting any study. This is few example. There are likewise depending upon the topic of the research, depending upon the type of study, these type of questions are usually there: age, gender, residence, and then the education qualification, occupation. All these are the one or the other we call as the variables. Next, please. Now, what is variable? A variable is any entity that can take different values across different for the individual and time. Just like if you are sitting in the OPD and we start examining the patient. Patient number 1, age is 60 years, male. Then we start recording their blood pressure, all these type of weight, height, all these type of measurements we start recording, and then start recording the history. Next patient come out to be 45-year female. Now, because it takes different value across different individual and different time. That is why it is called a variable. It keeps on changing from person to person, from time to time. Now, variables are things that we measure, that we control, or that we manipulate in the research, because we, in one or the other way, we have to do all this. We have to ask all this. We have to record all this type of information. And if we are if we are having 100 subjects, if we are having 100 individuals, if we have to record the data of 100 patients, then the data of all the 100 patients is going to be different. Maybe the gender, maybe the type of residence, maybe the education qualification, occupation, the social demographic profile, and then coming to the actual topic, whatever question you have framed, all those will be different from individual to individual. That is why it is called a variable. Now, they should be stated in a very precise definition, can be observed and measured. This process is called operationalization. Say, just like if we are recording the weight, the weight, it should be, the instructions should be given, or if we, myself as investigator, I should know how to record the correct weight. What is the actual method of recording the weight? The weighing machine should be calibrated time to time. The individual should stand vertically, look forward. It should not they should not wear too much clothes and heavy shoes. All these type of things has to be seen for recording the bear. That operationalization has to be done. Similarly, if we're recording the blood pressure, the calibration of the BP apparatus, if it is electronic or manual, whatever instrument equipment we are using, that calibration is needed. Now, if the patient has come immediately, if you start recording the patient, if the patient has walked for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and if you start recording the blood pressure, again, the reading may not be correct. We have to give some, as per the standard procedure, that The patient should wait for 5 minutes, sit in a proper position. The arm should be in a proper position. The cuff size should be appropriate. Like that way, all these points has to be taken care of. That is called organization. Whatever definition, whatever variable you are making, the definition has to be very clear. And in each and every research, in each and every thesis, there is a one point which is written operational definitions. Now, if we are using some scale for measuring the socioeconomic status, whatever scale we have, Kuppuswamy scale or whatever scale we are using, you have to give what scale you have used and what is their operational definition. Next, please. Next slide, please. Now, coming to the discrete versus the continuous variable. Now, those are linked the previous slide. Discrete and continuous variable. Discrete variables are countable in a finite manner of time. You can count it in a finite manner of time. For example, we can count the change in our pocket. We can count the money in your bank account. We can count the amount of money in every bank account. It might take a longer time to count the last item, but point is it is still countable. We can count all these things because in one or the other way, the information is there and we can count those things. And that is called, if we are able to count those, then it is called a discrete variable. Next, please. A continuous variable is a variable whose value is obtained by measuring. The value is in fraction. For example, age of the student in class, weight of the student. Now, if we are recording the weight, now if we are recording in full number, say if the weight is 68.4 kg, and if we are just simply writing 68 kg, it may not be correct. If we have to record the weight exact 68.4 kg, because ultimately it is going to affect. Now, if we are, there is nothing like if it is less than 0.5, you come backward, and if it is more than 0.5, you go forward, then it will become a discrete thing. But if we are recording the variable in a very precise manner, the exact fractional value is taken into consideration, then it becomes a continuous variable. See, if some of the scenarios when the questionnaire is to be filled, there is a age column, and then in the bracket it is written as completed years. In some of the scenario, the age is written as age as on dated 2nd July 2024 in years, months, and days. You will see in all these time of things matter. And if we are writing the exact whatever is there, then it has a continuous variable. Yes, next please. Now, measurement of scale. Measurement scales are used to categorize and quantify the data. 4 type of measurements are there that is commonly used in the statistic analysis. I have some of the all this is we have already mentioned: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. These are the 4 type of scales or variables which are commonly used to categorize or to quantify the variables. I will just brief out one by one to you. Now, nominal. Nominal scale classify person object into 2 categories, in 2 or more categories. A measurement scale, that is nominal scale, in which numbers serve as a tags or labels only to identify or classify an object. The measurement normally deals only with non-numerical value, just like if we are saying gender. Either it will be male or female. Nowadays, in some of the scenario, third gender is also included, or usually it is male or female. Then member of a category have a common set of characteristics, and each may have belong to one category. Common characteristics, if we are categorizing, say, based on some scale, the socioeconomic status as low, middle, and high, then that becomes the again nominal. If we are asking about the educational qualification, and you have already listed that below metric, graduate, postgraduate, and above, then automatically it becomes like that way. You are either, it can be either of the one. Next, please. Again, a few points about the nominal scale. It is simply a system of assigning numbers to events in order to label them. Convenient way of keeping track of people, objects, and events. Just like if the name is Ram Kumar, and age is 58 years, he is a male. That is a convenient way because the blood pressure, the blood group is B positive. All these type of things are recorded because it is a unique number, and that is called nominal scale. Examples already given: male, female, gender, either urban, belonging to urban area or rural area, or whether what is the blood group, A positive, B positive, AB positive, or whatever it is there. Accordingly, the information is to be recorded. Next, please. Then this is one way, that is true versus artificial categories. Two categories are which are already naturally existing, such as gender. You can't change those male and female. That will remain as ever. Now, artificial are just like lifestyle. The lifestyle is defined by an individual. I am defining the lifestyle in a different manner. Other person may define a different manner depending upon the scenario, the geographical area, or the type of study. This artificial categorization do change. Yes, next please. Then coming to the ordinal, it is a variable which allow us to rank order items we measure in terms of which has less and which has more quantitative represented by variable, but still they don't allow us to say how much more. Now we are saying high, you are saying more. What is high? We are saying the overweight. Now for an individual, if the weight is 60 kg, it may be overweight. For another person, the 60 kg, the individual may be normal. But we are just simply saying you are overweight without going into the technical details. We are simply saying it is more, it is high, it is overweight, like that way. That becomes an ordinal classification, and accordingly we are ranking them. But arbitrarily classification, that is not usually acceptable in the medical literature, in the scientific literature. So whatever categorization is to be done, it should be done, in a very scientific manner so that it is acceptable to the scientific community. Next, please. Again, few lines about the among these ordered scale, ordinary is the lowest level because it just sometimes gives a very awkward situation. Now, this scale places even in a mini-equal order. ARI may be defined as no pneumonia, pneumonia, severe pneumonia, very severe disease. Now, it's okay. Now, it is a no pneumonia, pneumonia, severe pneumonia, or very severe disease. It is a consultation, the consultant viewpoint only, which may keep on changing from individual to individual or from scenario to scenario, and that is why it is the lowest level, but no attempt is made about the size of interval. Why you are saying non pneumonia and now why you are saying pneumonia or severe pneumonia, like that way. This way, it is just by viewpoint of an individual, of the consultant, without any scientific investigation or without any scientific treatment, like that way. Next, please. Interval scale not only rank order the items that are measured, but also to quantify and compare the size of different um, differences between them. Now, as the name says, interval, you have to define some interval. You have to give some values, the lower value and the upper value, and accordingly you will say whether the value is lower or whether the value is higher, whether the value is more. And just like if we are doing some investigation, if we are doing some study based on investigation, and you will see all the investigation, maybe biochemical, microbiological, they have a normal range. And the range is in the form of interval. And if it is falling within that, we call normal. If it is going beyond that, it is abnormal. Even nowadays, the ranges are also sometimes different based on the type of kit being used for doing the investigation. So in that scenario, one has to be quite cautious about giving the inferences, because the kit wise, sometimes the normal values do changes. Next value, next please. Yes, next, next. Interval scale, the data are placed in a very meaningful order and have meaningful interval between them. Just like in Celsius scale, difference between 100 and 90 is the same as difference between 60 and 50, but it is a different way of saying we are concentrating not only the interval, but we are concentrating upon the two values also, 90 and 100. If you say just 10, then it doesn't make anything. But if we are giving 90 and 100, okay, interval is 10, but you have to give 90 and 100. You have to give 50 and 60, interval is same, but 50 and 60, it do matter. Next, please. A ratio scale, it is very similar to the interval scale, has all the properties of interval area. It has an absolute 0 point. उसमें 0 नहीं होता है, इसमें 0 भी होता है. Height, weight, speed, distances are the examples of the ratio scale. Now here, measurements made with the ratio scales can be added, can be all those 4 operations, that is addition, multiplication, division, and subtraction, it can be carried out. Just like last example I will read, it is correct to say that a pulse rate of 120 is twice as fast as the pulse rate of 60. It is quite evident, because one has 60, another has 120, which means it is almost double. And that is why I have given you the 4 operations. The things can be addition is possible, subtraction is possible. All these 4 operations which are mathematically done is possible in the ratio scale. Next, please. Now coming to the classification, this is another way. We have to classify the thing in a very scientific manner, depending upon the topic, depending upon the type of research which you are conducting. And the definition is theoretical. It is given the process of arranging things or items in a group or classes according to their resemblance, according to their affinities, according to their expression to the unit of attributes. All these are the way of classification. It may be even the diversity of the individual. Now these we do the classification. It is a quite common word which is being used in literature and even in the day-to-day scientific writing. Next, please. These are the usual 4 classifications which are seen in the literature. One is the geographical classification, that is place of living, area of living, region of living, like that way. Chronicle classification, it may be monthly, yearly, weekly, daily, like that way. Qualitative, as I have told you, qualitative, that you are going to give only the gender, qualification, color, etc. This is another way of classification. Quantitative classification, you have to give it exact value. It may be the age, it may be the income, it may be the height, it may be the weight, etc., etc. These are the 4 type of classifications which are usually used in the literature, in the research. And for conducting any study in one or the other way, all this type of mixed type of classification is used. You can't say I will use only one. No, all this type of classification in one or the other way, and all these type of data which I have told you in one or the other way are used so as to achieve our objective, so as to fulfill our objective, whatever we have laid down for the study. Next, please. Yeah. Now, objectives of the classification, I have told you to present the facts in a very simple manner, to highlight items which possess or don't possess certain attributes or qualities, then to provide help in making comparison between items, because that is a classification. Just like the studies are done, say the one study is done in India, another study is done Europe. See, even I have done one study, I will tell you. We have recorded the different type of parameters pertaining to hypertension for the Indians who are living in India and for the Indians who are living in European country. They are genetically they are Indian. Genetical character is the same, but environmentally they are not different. And we have done a lot of comparison to that. Even we have taken the blood. The one of the co-investigator was from London, and we have all done all those. The same questionnaire which we did in India, the same questionnaire was applied in London in the UK, and that type of geographical comparison was done. And a lot of the genetical component is same, but the environmental component was different. Based on the modeling, it was a large study. Can't tell you that all the results. To find out mutual relationship between certain measures and their effects, to present the data in such a manner which is suitable for further treatment, to provide basis for tabulation. Now, say whenever we plan a study, the first 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 questions, all these are socio-demographic variables. Age, gender, education qualification, occupation, it do matter, and ultimately we do compare based whatever the actual study is there, whatever variable we are relating to the topic, we do try to compare with the socioeconomics variable or inter variable comparison or intra variable comparison, so that all this type of things are ultimately it is a classification. The if we are recording the say blood pressure, high blood pressure, normal or low blood pressure, whatever categorization we have applied, the accordingly we try to analyze the data, we try to bring out some facts, and we try to bring out some tabulations and give our inferences based on that. Next, please. Now, coming to the collection of data, how we collect the data. These are some of the methods which I have listed. One is the direct personal inquiry. Just like if we are treating a patient, we ask directly from the patient, we start recording the data, which means, no, there are two terms. One is investigator, another is the respondent. Investigator is the one who conduct the study, and a respondent is the one who is providing us the information, just like a consultant and the patient relationship. The consultant becomes an investigator and the patient is our respondent. Now, if we are in direct contact with the investigator is in direct contact with the respondent, then it is a direct personal inquiry method. Now, indirect oral investigation. Now, sometimes the information directly you can't collect the information. Now, I will give you one example. Now, drinking habit, alcohol drinking habit, or now if we start asking the individual, the thing may not be revealed by the individual correctly. And sometimes we have to ask indirectly, maybe from the parents or maybe the friend circle, so that we can get some actual information, what are the actual figure we will arrive. That is again, that is indirect way. Respondent is different, but we are asking the data about something different from a different person. Then information from local agents and correspondents. This is also one way, and you will see, just like the newspaper, the news channels, they have placed some agents and correspondents in different locations of the country, in different locations of the and in different locations, and they do collect the data. In the same way, research organization, they place their agents or correspondent just like census. Census is a very common example. The census is connected by the government of India, and one agency is authorized to do that way. But they trained every people, and they collect the data and then forward it to the agency. Then by filling of schedules. Schedules fill the questionnaire, fill the format of questions which has been framed for the purpose of study, and the one is done. Then by mailed questionnaire. Now, it is also one of the way for collecting data. Mailed questionnaire, just like say I want to collect the information about the infrastructure of medical colleges. Say if I have selected 100 medical colleges randomly from the list which is available with the government of India, and I mailed all the questionnaire to the head of the institute with the request that please fill in the information and provide me the necessary information, and I will certify that this information will only be used for the research purpose and it will only be revealed like that way. Now, that is the mailed questionnaire, but in this scenario, the response rate may not be 100%. Say if I have sent 100 questionnaire, you may not get even 10 or 20. And when if 10 or 20, whether they have provided the real facts or not, again, that is not reliable. So in this type of scenario, if we have to do 100 medical colleges, we may have to do a lot of efforts, maybe for 400 medical colleges, maybe for 500 medical colleges, ultimately with all type of personal influences or something like the one may get the required information and can carry on the study. But again, the reliability factor, you can't, it is up to them that whatever information they have provided, you have to rely upon that. Another is the order record. Order record is the information is already dumped somewhere, just like in the hospital setting. It may be the medical college or Ayurvedic college, dental college, whatever college is there. The patients are there, and the patient record is available in the indoor is available differently, outdoor is available differently. And say if we want to conduct a study for 1 year, either you go forward or you go backward. If you go forward, it is a prospective study. If we go backward, it is a retrospective study. Say if we want to conduct a study for 12 months, and I can go back June 24 to May 23. Just take out all the files of a patient, whatever topic you want to concentrate, and take out the data and do your study. Other way out is if we want to do a prospective study, then we have to move forward. Say if I start the study in July, and for 12 months I will move up to June 30, and then you will be able to collect the information. Now, there is merit and demerit in relating to that. For the study which we want to go backward, that is retrospective study, you have framed a questionnaire which contains 20 questions. Now, usually you will see the patient file or OPD card, the same information may not be available in all the. Again, I am giving the example of say diabetes, and you have framed a questionnaire pertaining to the diabetes, and there are plenty of parameters which you want to analyze. The same parameter may not be available in all the files, so which means you may get incomplete information. अगर आपने 100 करने हैं, you may not get all the 100 exact information, the complete information for all the 100. But for the prospective, definitely, because 1:1 in touch with you, and you are recording the data yourself, and you can complete the study, you can with accuracy. Again, for merit and demerit, for retrospective study, not much funding is involved, even the time frame is quite less. But in the prospective study, definitely expenses may be there, and the time of 12 months, which is forward, you can't reduce that way. But for the backward, the retrospective, the same study of 12 months can be done in 1 month also. By direct observational method, this is another way you can collect the data. Observational method, just if go to the ward or go to the hospital, observe the things and start recording the data in a one or the other way, depending on the type of the study which is you have framed. These are the methods of collecting the data, which is usually adopted in one or the other method for collecting the information pertaining to any research study. This is all which I want to share with you about the topic which is assigned to me today. Any point you want to discuss, you are welcome now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for a wonderful session. Now, I request to all delegates, if there is any doubt regarding today's session, you are free to ask. You can write in the chat box, or you can simply unmute yourself to discuss your doubts. If there is any doubt, you can discuss by unmuting yourself. Tomorrow we again have one session that will be delivered by sir on data collection tools and response structure. So if any doubt regarding today's session, like classification and types of data, so you can clarify your doubts before moving the next session.
Okay, if there is no doubt, probably everybody has understood that topic. I will just add the last point. For conducting any community study, any study, frame the objective very specifically, write down your aim very specifically, and the statistical part which is to be done, it should be done very meticulously, because all the whatever results comes, that depends upon the statistical analysis. The analysis has to be done very meticulously, and correct techniques should be used, correct statistical method should be applied. Only then you will be able to give a good result from the whatever study you have done. That's all which I want to share with you at the end. If there's no question, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, and thank you,
Thank you, sir. Thank you
Amit.
so much, sir.
Mm.
Thank you for your sharing your expertise with all delegates in this session. We again start the session tomorrow at 6 p.m. With the continuous next session, that is on data collection tools and response structure. So be on time, join session earlier, 5 minutes. Request to all delegates. If there is any doubt, you can ask tomorrow also. Sir will be there tomorrow with one more session. So revise the session with the recorded session. I will share the link in the WhatsApp group. You can revise the session. If any doubts you have later, you can ask tomorrow also. Thank you again, sir, for your presence and expertise sharing with all delegates in this 3-month program organized by ITRA Jamnagar and in collaboration with CCRAS Delhi. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you all for positive feedback and listening very patiently. This is the end of today's session. Tomorrow we start at the 6 p.m. sir.